somehow, mas close-knit yung mga tao, yung ecosystem sa mga cities outside Manila. Sa Manila, although mas maraming tao dito, di ba? Pero mas hindi nag-uusap eh.
Totoo yan. Kumusta mga kakwentuhan? Jay Olos here and welcome to 1CFO's Kwentuhan Podcast. Dito sa startup scene sa Pilipinas, alam nyo laging Metro Manila yung sentro ng usapan eh. Pero paano naman yung mga founders na nasa labas ng Metro Manila? Ano yung mga unique challenges kaya nila na hinaharap nila? At ano yung mga strengths and weaknesses na meron sila? Iyan yung mga... For me, question ko talaga as somebody that is also working with a lot of startups for how many years now. At yan ang pag-uusapan natin today. This episode is an all-access pass to the insights, lessons, and untold stories of innovators building the thriving ecosystem in the provinces. And we are here to tackle with the Great Divide and give you a perspective you won't find anywhere else. And for that, we are very much blessed to have as guests for today, for this episode, Mr. Johnny Boydon. Mr. Johnny Boydon is an advocate of the Philippine startup community and also the founder of Startup Podcast. Ito, susot ko pala. Startup Podcast PH. No, he's also a senior lecturer at the University of the Philippines, and Johnny has made his mission to document the real, raw journeys of Filipino founders all over the country. So, Johnny, welcome to the show.
Hello. Grabe naman yung introduction.
Oo naman. Just so you know po, mga kakwentuhan, ito, ano lang to, medyo anecdote. Totoong nangyari to. Nung wala pang pumapansin sa akin, bagong-bago si 1CFO, merong isang Johnny Boydon na nagpa-unlock na mag-guest kami doon sa podcast niya. Episode number 80 yata kami.
80-something.
80-something, oo.
81 nata, 81.
Oh,
ano kasi sinadya kayo sa 1CFO eh. So, 81 ko ginawa yun.
Okay. And 1CFO was only like 2 months old pa lang nung time na yun. As in, nobody. Walang nakakakilala pa sa amin. Pero through Startup Podcast PH yun. That's why I really owe to Johnny Boydon here. Wow. Yung initial ingay na nagawa namin through the Startup Podcast page. Pero ngayon, Johnny, ako naman yung magtatanong sa'yo. Sige. So, Johnny, without much further ado, for our viewers here sa 1CFO, sino nga ba si Johnny Boydon?
Siguro share mo din about Startup Podcast. It really started just as a parang passion project. So, ako kasi nag-study ako abroad. So, I stayed in Taiwan for 5 years. And then parang side project ko lang nun while doing my PhD nga, yung podcast kasi I still want to be parang connected sa Pilipinas. Gusto pa rin malaman yung mga nangyayari. And syempre, parang inisip ko nun, what's the best way to know and to, let's say, showcase na rin yung mga nangyayari sa Pilipinas. Actually, pinakauna nun na naisip kong gawin is mag-interview ng mga Filipino inventors actually. Inventors. Scientists, mga ganyan. Then, na-realize ko, mahirap yun. Kasi parang, mas oddly yun, diba? And then, na-realize ko din later on na hindi naman enough na invention lang or innovation lang. Kaya nga nabubuo ko na yung parang meaning, at least for me, ng startup, which is, ang important is meron siyang, kumbaga, that invention is magamit ng mga tao. Meron siyang, to put it in a business sense, sustainable business model.
Yes.
Or basically, business model. So, nagkaroon ng entrepreneurship site and then dun unti-unti na buo. Actually, when I started Startup Podcast, it's not really for startups pa nga eh. It's just really for starting up eh. Pero siguro mga 2 months, dun, nabuo ko na startup founders, startups talaga. Kasi yun nga, invention, innovation, and entrepreneurship. So talagang nabuo lang din yung understanding ko during that time na ginagawa ko siya. So I think by the 3rd, 4th episode, 5th episode siguro, dun ko na parang I wanted to talaga focus on Filipino startups. Anyway, back to the question, so who am I nga? Well, I'm teaching sa UP Diliman. Gusto kong ginagawa is makapag-share sa mga tao. And actually, why I started the podcast is for my students din talaga. By the way, even when I was in Taiwan, I was teaching remotely. Kung sunod yung mga magpapa-webinar, ganyan. So ako, para lang din maiba, imbes na magpa-webinar, ginawa kong podcast yung
galing nga eh. Very engaging yun. Yung genius move yun. Galing.
Tsaka by podcast, nag-stay na siya sa internet. Pwede siya pakinggan ng kahit sino, di ba? And nagulit nga ako, nung pinablish ko siya, pinost ko na rin syempre sa mga Facebook groups, may malaking from different parts of the country. And after a few episodes, nilapitan lang ako ng mga ibang players dyan. Sila Idea Space. Actually, sila Idea Space. Sila Kubo pala. Kubo. Ang unang lumapit.
I am a mentor sa Idea Space.
Ayaw nga pala. Kasi nung panahon na rin yun, parang malapit na yung Philippine Startup Week. No, 2021. Doon nagsimula talaga and then doon nagtuloy-tuloy. For me, this is actually my journey rin and adventure pa until ngayon. Somehow the people may see it as parang I'm showcasing Filipino startups. For me, parang personal journey rin siya to understand ano nga bang startups, ano nga bang Filipino startups, ano nga ba yung nasa utak ng mga Filipino startup founders, why do they start? Lalo na yun, how do they think of these ideas, these innovations, how do they implement it pa or operate it pa, how do they grow pa nga. So, it also has become somehow a journey. Kaya nga when I ask questions sa podcast, medyo rin siya. Parang casual lang. Diba? Kasi it's really more of me understanding wanting to understand what's in the mind of like you, Jay, diba? So, and then, fortunately, share ko itong mga to sa mga nakikinig sa podcast.
Which is for me, is really, parang unusual. Kasi, you're an industrial engineer.
Yes.
Diba? So, Johnny po is an industrial engineer. And then, all of a sudden, you're doing this now. No? So, why is that?
I-add ko lang din, actually, ang IE, Industrial Engineer sa UP Diliman, kami yung nag-house ng technopreneurship sa buong UP. And by the way, ang industrial engineer naman kasi ngayon, although it started, ang IE kasi talaga yung factory management, production management, and then nag-move na rin sa information systems management. Marami rin kami mga developers, programmers ngayon na graduates. But, meron na kami side din na parang innovation management din. Although maliit lang siya, pero parang ako personally, medyo dun din ako nahila Although actually yung PhD ko is medyo malayo.
May PhD mo?
Machine learning ako.
Machine learning? Very relevant, no?
Well, I mean, machine learning, di ba parang foundations of AI, ganyan. Although, since sa Taiwan ako, applications sa manufacturing, semiconductor manufacturing, specifically. And ayun nga, actually, when I was doing a PhD, parang I feel blessed na ang mga sinastudy namin, yung mga biggest as in, number 1, number 2 manufacturers in the world.
Taiwan
yes. Wow. Pero, parang I wanted to understand pa, bukod sa yung mga large corporate, I want to understand yung mga smaller businesses, how really it happens, lalo na on that stage. Kaya din mas na-attract ako sa startup.
When you were starting out, Startup Podcast PH, if you look back yung mga, ngayon, syempre, ang dami-dami mo ng followers, you're well-known na in the industry. But if you can recall a specific moment nung nagsisimula ka, I don't know, struggle or learning, ano yun? Maybe if you can share to our audience.
Okay. Actually, madaming beses na, lalo na nung simula, madaming beses gusto ko mag-stop. Parang nakapagod. Hindi pa worth it nung una. Medyo, hindi ko na malala kasi buo timeline Di ba sinabi ko kanina na paano lumapit sila Kubo, sila Idea Space. Pero even before, mga episode 3 pala, episode 4. Nung sabi nga nila ang podcasts, may 3 hurdles. Episode 3, marami nag-stop by episode 3. So, congrats Jay, nalagpas naman yung first hurdle. But then, marami nag-stop at episode 20. Makita na ang
Wala pa naman kaming 20.
Ayun, pero malalagpasan natin yun. Then, episode 100. Episode 3, actually, dun mo kasi matetest yung parang may nakikinig ba talaga or parang when you started something, may nakikinig ba? Yung sa akin, may nakikinig naman, pero more of mga, syempre, mga kakilala ko, mga kaibigan ko. Although meron mga ibang tao nga, parang, eto na ba yun? Parang, ano ba may kailangan gawin, ganyan. So, napaisip ako, tutuloy ko ba ito, mag-episode 4 pa ba ako? But by episode 3, may nag-message, yung first ever nag-message na hindi ko kaibigan. I'm not sure if gusto niya magpa-shoutout, pero startup founder din siya. Until ngayon, mag-support siya sa podcast.
Okay.
Then, nagbibigay pa rin ng mga guests sa akin yun.
Galing.
So, the fact na may nag-message sa akin na hindi ko kakilala at all, I wanted to continue. And then, episode 20, kaya kasi sa episode 20, well, at least for me, kasi, na kukuha mo ba ng pera or parang magiging worth it ba siya at least diba for your efforts
yes you need to be sustainable kasi
yes you need to be sustainable exactly so nung panahon na yun nag-start ako ng Patreon tsaka parang mga donations Gcash ganyan akala ko noong una nag-post ako sa Facebook ganyan so akala ko noong una walang meron mga 3 actually hindi na pinapayanggan may willing pang sumuporta at magbayad, di ba? So, kung if I'm...
Can you still recall kung mga ilan na yung followers mo nun? May 1,000 na ba?
Yeah, to be honest, nakaabot ako 1,000 kagad kasi those are my students. Mga students ngayon eh. Pero I'd say siguro, kung mga hindi ko kilala doon, siguro mga ano lang, 10%, 5%. I mean, ano na rin, diba? I mean, pwede na rin, diba?
Marami-rami na din yun. Especially organic yung push mo, diba? Oo. Wow. Sige, go ahead.
Ayun, tapos, ayun nga, may nag-Patreon and then episode 20. So, napatuloy ako kasi kumbaga hindi lang siya advocacy. Oh, it's good naman, diba, for that to be my advocacy. Pero, nasusustain nga siya, diba? And no time na yun, actually, around episode 19, 18 ako na kumuha ng editor. Parang hindi ako na. Kasi napapagod na rin ako. Diba? Para really to be sustainable. Kasi you cannot, sabi na sa akin ng mga ibang founders, diba? I mean, of course, as Jay, of course, you know this very much. And even if sobrang galing mong tao, you shouldn't do all of these things kasi first, hindi mo na maximize yung parang talagang core talent mo or parang ano. Second, yun nga, yung delegation, really, yung mental capacity, makapagod ka kung lahat ikaw nag-iisip eh. Parang you need to delegate the responsibility, not just for the physical labor, but also for the mental fatigue, stamina, diba? And third, actually, na-realize ko lang din to when I'm interviewing founders, the more that you grow the team, it's not just for the company, diba? Mas maraming tao working for the company. You're also sharing the blessing of, of experience.
Yes.
They experience to work on something, they experience to learn din. Nagsimula ako na parang wala akong alam nga sa mga companies, sa mga startups, ganyan. So, medyo lone wolf talaga. Diba? Parang medyo, I think, ako gagawa lahat ganyan. Pero, now, na-realize ko na it's also a responsibility, kumbaga a way to share na really grow your team para mas marami maka-experience ng learnings.
And you also help them grow.
Yes, exactly.
Diba? Like, ganyan-ganyan din ako. Just like you, I'm also a lone wolf. Kung meron pong definition ng Sigma male, ako po talaga yun. Anyway, so I like what you said, especially nung yung realization mo. Kasi I think a lot of startup founders have faced or are still facing that dilemma na gagawin ko ba ito mag-isa? Should I hire a team? Kung mag-hire ako ng team, wala pa akong pang sweldo. You know, when I was starting also one CFO, the very first na ginawa ko is to approach yung former college classmate ko, si Limuel. And wala akong pang sweldo kay Limuel. Pero nakita kasi ni Limuel, this is also an opportunity for him to learn about the world of startups, to really to build highly scalable businesses. So yun, doon ko siya nahikayat na join. Wala kaming sweldo nun. Siguro it took us almost a year before pinasweldo namin yung sarili namin. Siyempre, pinasweldo muna namin yung mga tao namin, di ba? As founders, talagang sacrifice. Pero nakita ko yung beauty also, just to validate what you have also experienced of empowering people around you, because yun yung something na, kasi ako, nagtrabaho rin ako sa ibang startups before. More than the monetary compensation, yung experience talaga, and the skill set that it gives you as you help grow that company. And looking at Startup Podcast PH now, kasi sabi ko nga sa'yo, di ba, nung message kita, hindi ko na susubaybayan halos lahat. Parang anong episode na ba ngayon?
260 na at
Oo, nastuck ako sa 100 pa lang eh. Parang ang bilis, sabi ko, bilis talaga maglabas ni Johnny ng content. Galing, kaya sobrang idol.
Yeah, kasi yun din, parang nagawa ko na siyang systematic. Although, the podcast is not a startup per se, pero parang ina-apply ko rin naman yung mga parang scalability, tsaka yung parang operationability na parang dapat systematic siya and it works. It happens talaga. It operates ko.
Yeah. And I really like what you were doing. Remember nung nagkita tayo sa may UP Town? Kumain tayo sa isang Thai restaurant.
Yeah, pag-uwi ko yun galing Taiwan.
Naminit ko po si Johnny noon. So, nandito siya sa Pilipinas noon. And that was the first time we met. And I was really telling si Johnny na I see the value on what he's actually doing. Kasi she's really providing a platform for all. For all startups, whether you're funded, not funded, sikat ka ba, hindi. Which is great. Kasi for ako, as putting on my angel investor hat, yun yung gusto ko eh. potential source ng deal flow, di ba yung sabi ko nga sa'yo, di ba? So, that's another project naman natin yun, if ever. So, that is what I like about what you are doing. And now, itong mga nakaraang episode, napansin ko, you're going all over the country. No? So, which for me is another good job kasi ikaw yung lumalapit doon sa mga startups sa provinces. So, I just want to ask Johnny, what made you decide to go out of Metro Manila and interview those startup founders based on so many provinces?
There are many other podcasts out there. Like, for example, yung kina Ronster, the podcast and Share, I actually listen to that. And yung, for example, kina RJ Ledesma, I actually listen to those, And then na-realize ko, they interview mga sikat na. Diba? So ako, I thought na dapat, I mean, although it's challenging, minood ko yung startup podcast na maging, papasikatin. Yung mga hindi ba sikat, diba? So, paano ko gagawin engaging? Yun kasi yun baka walang makinig kasi pag sikat yung mga in-interview mo, mas mataas chance may makinig dun, di ba? Pero pag hindi sikat, parang hindi ka papansinin, di ba? So, I really had to think, paano ko gagawin to? Mahirap siya, di ba? That's why I thought na medyo personal approach nga kasi that's the way on how to connect muna sa listeners and then when I interview, hina-highlight ko nga sila, And then, ayun, nung nasa Pilipinas nga ako, na-realize ko, yung name ng aking podcast ay Startup Podcast PH. May PH. Ang nai-interview ko ay mga Manila. Dahil nga ang core ko, diba, is gusto ko mag-interview ng mga inventions, ng mga innovations. Parang mali yun na parang Manila lang in-interview ko.
Yeah.
So, I realized I should go out. And since nasa Pilipinas na nga ako, and parang isabay ko na rin sa travel, diba? So, travel in order to understand ang aking lupang sinilangan, diba?
Yes.
Tsaka parang maintindihan ko ano ba talaga yung buhay sa outside Manila, sa iba't ibang, sa Visayas, Mindanao, ano ba yung, not just buhay, ano ba yung, kumbaga, culture, yung, even yung economy, in order to know how they think, diba? Yung know how they live day to day. So, ayun, I made it a task na pupunta ako sa mga iba't ibang lugar. So, ang pinakauna kong in-person na outside Manila ay actually sa Cebu. Sa Cebu, nag-interview ako dun, pupunta ako dun, stay ako dun parang 1 month, nag-interview ako mga 14 na startup founders. Doon ko na-meet sila, for example, sila Kenneth from Presenter.
Yes.
sila Simf. Ayan, marami pang iba. Ayan. And then, ang next ko noon, after Cebu, nag-ano muna kami Nanaus. Cagayan de Oro, Iligan, Butuan. After naman noon, nag-Baguio ako. Baguio, Benguet. And then, Iloilo, Capiz. And then, yung pinakahuli ko, bago ko, last month lang, actually. I did 2 months na pala yun. Nag-ano ako, Mindanao round trip. Ang pinakauna ko si General Santos. Then I went to Sultan Kudarat, Tacolong City. And then I went to Davao. Para maano ko din, 1 week each ako And then I went all the way to Zamboanga. Tapos meron pang mga nagpapa-interview sa Dipolog. May mga naka-light din yan May Dipolog pa. May Mindoro pa actually, nakapila. Babalik pala ako Rojas. Next month.
Rojas. Okay.
Ano naman to, in-invite naman ako ng DOF.
Sarap yung seafood dun.
Seafood, yes. So, parang yung journey rin.
And then, pag travel ka, mag-isa ka lang.
Yes, mag-isa lang.
Wow.
So, dala ko yung mga damit ko. Dala ko din yung camera, yung laptop, yung mics.
Sounds so cool. So, grabe, adventure na yun. But I really like what you said. Kasi nga, just like you, I was also based outside of the country for some years, Then when I came back here in the Philippines, so, yung, lalo na pagka-lift na nung travel restriction sa COVID, ito na pinaprioritize namin, punta kami ng Cebu, punta kami ng Bohol, punta kami ng, ganon. Kasi nga, na-realize ko rin yun somebody na parang, teka muna, marami pa akong hindi napuntahan sa Pilipinas. And sabihin mo na, syempre may mga naman dyan sa social media na sasabihin na mas mahal kasi pag nag-travel ka sa Pilipinas as compared kapag sa ibang bansa, di ba? Ano mo sasabi mo?
Yeah, actually, there are ways. There are ways. I-clarify ko, actually, itong travel na to, yung podcast na to, diba, ay naglalag travel lang ako. Very budget to, very budget. As in, kung ano yung kinikita ko sa podcast, yun yung ginagamit ko. So,
galing.
I mean, say, parang, siguro nasa minimum wage-ish.
Talaga?
I mean, I stay sa mga, not too, hindi ako luxurious, ganyan. Tapos, diba yung gamit ko, wala akong mga check-in, ganyan. Pagkain ko normal. I mean, normal karinderya, ganyan. So, ano siya, parang, tsaka
yung maganda doon, when you eat sa mga karinderya, nafe-feel mo yung local vibes, di ba?
Yes.
Yun yung maganda. Kasi I remember, when I was still in my 20s, not so long ago, tapos pupunta ako Cebu. Alam mo yung mga pension house?
Yes.
Yung mga ganun, mga maliliit lang. Tapos kakain ako dun sa, may mga tabi-tabi lang, karinderya lang. Budget friendly. Kaya naman.
Tsaka alam mo, when you do that, you also realize why different startup founders think different ways in different parts of the Philippines. Kasi for me, may iba't ibang character eh. Sa Cebu nga, sa Davao, then outside, yung mga metro cities yan eh. Metro cities sa Visayas Mindanao. Iba pa pag medyo non-metro city. Tapos mapapansin mo yun, even sa mga karinderya. Somehow, iba yung pagkain, di ba? May mga tinolang isda. Tinolang isda.
May ibang version ng adobo.
Pati yung way of nila. It's simple, very simple details. Pero, pag inisip mo, meron siyang parang larger cultural implication na nakaka-affect sa entrepreneurial mindset din ng mga tao doon.
That's what I like. I really like what you said. Kasi, totoo yan eh. I realized this kasi I was in one of the engagements that naging part ako. Yung approach on that specific engagement, kasi minsan may template na kami, copy-paste na lang. It worked for a certain parang territorial jurisdiction. And then when we went to a certain province, hindi siya effective. Parang ang nangyari, ang naging parang syempre at the end of the client engagement, merong mga parang feedback, yung ganyan, performance feedback. Isa sa mga na-realize namin, we missed that out. Yung cultural perspective. There's that specific province na hindi effective sa kanila na may isang consultant na papasok tapos tuturuan sila, ito gawin mo. Ang gusto nila is consensus building. Parang maging marirealize nila na nga, ganito dapat, ganyan. So, as a consultant, parang eye-opener sa akin yun, na dapat talaga, we need to understand when you go business or you want to do business in a certain, kasi fragmented ng Pilipinas, no? May regionalization talaga tayo dito. Iba-iba ng kultura. I think that is your advantage kasi you experience that firsthand. You ate with these people over those karinderya, you talk to them over this cafe, you got their perspective, and you immerse yourself in that, so which is, hindi lahat ng founders is merong ganong klaseng experience. Kaya magtataka po kayo, ito is personal, ko lang naman to, observation. There are business models or businesses that thrives into a certain territory only. Pero pag nag-try mag-expand dun to a certain, within the Philippines, wala. Hindi kinakagat. Kasi nga, they're missing that out.
I agree.
No? So, yun. Sige, since marami ka nakausap mga founders outside Metro Manila, and previously you're based, nagsimula ka sa Metro Manila, meron ka bang nakikitang mga key differences that between startups within the Metro Manila and outside Metro Manila?
Okay. Madami. Sobrang dami, Jay. Sobrang dami.
Sige, siguro yung top 3 na...
Top 3. Metro Manila and outside Metro Manila.
Yung differences.
Okay, sige. Well, yung pinaka-basic is parang maingay na ngayon sa startups, diba? Investors. Pag Metro Manila ka, since andito yung mga investors, andito naman talaga.
Dito sila, para di ko naman.
Sige. Linawin pala natin. Andito yung mga firms, mga institutional investors. Of course, naman yun, parang of course, institutional investors will stay and will go sa Metro kasi although may opportunity outside Metro, andito yung mas safe, andito yung mas unfair. Kumbaga, logical naman talaga siya. So yun, pag pinanganak ka sa Manila, high school ka, college ka, napunta sa startup world, ang unang isipin is how to get invested home. Which is not so sa outside. But somehow, sa mga metro cities outside Manila, in what I observe, please take all of this with a grain of salt. Kasi hindi ko naman masasabing ito yung talagang truth. Marami angel network sa Cebu and Davao. Tsaka syempre, malakas yung mga chamber dyan. Diba? Somehow, even sa Iloilo, yung mga what I notice lang na not so much, pero parang correct me if I'm wrong, pero parang for me, yung mga chamber, mas more of sa mga traditional. Yeah. But I think some of them, they dive into startups. Some. Ayun. So yun nga, first difference is that pag outside Metro Manila ka, medyo since wala kang ganun ka-access sa network of institutional investors, ang isipin mo talaga is how to earn money from your customers. Ayun, yun yung number one, basically, I think, access sa investors and yung parang mindset mo sa investors. Second is, siguro yun na rin, on how they build business models. Sobrang dami kong na-discover, kasi naman talaga nag-work na sila, pero sobrang dami kong natutunan ng mga unique business models somehow, or parang workarounds. Kaya nga for me, na-realize ko, when you have a startup, for me kasi ang definition ng startup, bukod sa sinabi ko kanina, innovation nga and business model, entrepreneurship, you need to have something new. You're either solving a new problem na nag-arise, or you're using a new solution, let's say AI, let's say whatever, to solve an old problem. But may something new, either in the problem or in the solution. But may isa pa ako na idadagdag sa definition na yun. Because some of them, they may be solving an old problem and somehow using an old solution, but their business model is actually new and innovative. So, ayun, I think yun yung second ko nga na napansin difference. Some of them have innovations not in terms of the product or the service, but in the business model. And the workarounds they find ways on. Yung third actually is parang yun yung main Pero third siguro yung medyo basic industries, of course, na napupuntahan.
Okay.
Well, medyo obvious, siguro example, agri. Pag nasa Manila ka agri startup, for sure, agri, e-commerce, mga farm to table, ganyan. Pero pag nasa, outside Manila ka, may dalawa, may food tech, na not really digital tech. Ang daming mga food innovations actually. As in, for me, tech pa rin yun Food, yung mga yun, food tech, ganyan. As in, parang new, may dalawang startup to magkaiba. For me, tech din to na dapat i-consider ng mga startups. Iloilo, Miagao, merong science-based siya. Yung mga tilapia na binibreed nila para maging mas malaki siya. And they work on the genetics. So tawag nila mga YY male. Diba yung XY chromosomes? Genetically breed nila. Although hindi naman to, hindi naman to unethical kasi natural breeding pa rin siya. For those tilapias to be YY male. Kasi pag male tilapia, mas malaki siya. So, mas malaki, mas more protein, mas mabebenta siya. So, for me, that's food tech pa rin So, yung sa Iloilo, then may isa ako nakita sa Zamboanga. Are you familiar with the native chicken? Yung mga Ilonggo native chicken na
na-try ko na siya, I'm sure.
Kasi ang Ilonggo native chicken, siya, yung free range, yung healthy siya kasi hindi siya nakakulong ganyan. Healthy siya. Pero ang pangit sa native chickens, for others, makunad siya. Pero dito sa Zamboanga, I think part siya ng research din. They found a way na native chicken siya, free range siya, gumagala yung chicken. So, andun yung protein, nutrients, pero malambot siya. So, for me, it's innovation kasi na-solve na yung problem na yun Anyway, ayun. So, startup ka outside Metro Manila, it's either food tech ka or farm optimization. Pero din naman mga farm optimization na they study yung best way to maglagay ng fertilizer. For me, that's tech pa rin Tsaka may applications yun ng may applications yun ng, although not an app, not an electronic app, pero yung the way they think, the way they build an algorithm inside their minds, and the way they teach that to others, na ito yung best way to even to divide their farm, ganyan, to divide their farm, at yung rotation ng crops.
May innovation kasi. Parang meron din kami mga na-encounter the past few months, mga biotech that are creating, parang revolutionizing naman the food industry. They're creating mga alternative to meat. So parang ganun din. Meron din silang mga, hindi man genetics siguro yun, pero they're culturing a different way para makapag parang vegetable as promoting healthy lifestyle. So that's, I agree with you. Hindi siya nalalayo dun sa sinasabi mo na so I agree, it's still startup or innovation pa rin siya. Okay, very interesting yung mga na-share mong top 3 na differences. Now, let's now go naman doon sa, kasi you've talked to so many startup founders. And when you talk to these startup founders from all over these provinces outside Metro Manila, can you name some of the parang top challenges nila itong mga founders na to that they're facing in the province? Funding ba to? Distribution ba? Product? Marketing? Ano ba?
Sige, let's go muna sa funding. May problema rin kasi na nangyayari sa outside Metro Manila. Ngayon naman, sila naman, nagiging parang, pag nakita na sa Manila, di ba, mga millions, funded by millions of dollars. Observation ko na to again, kasi iba, parang nagiging rin, sorry sa term, pero parang nagiging overly confident na, hindi ko tutuloy ito hanggat wala akong investor, ganyan. So, hindi na tutuloy. Kasi parang, Parang risk siya, di ba? Na, for me, overall risk na nangyayari sa startup ecosystem na nagre-rely na lahat tuloy sa mga investors, sa mga investment, when in fact, there are still ways and there are still startup founders to do that na talagang tiyatsagang maghanap ng business model na mag-work. So, in terms of funding, I think, I'm not that sure, pero I think mas madali somehow makakuha ng capital sa Manila. Although I'm saying that na I'm not that sure kasi I'll be blunt here. Somehow, you need a name din eh. You need experience, diba? You need, parang you need a good resume. You need to build it first and even network and ganyan. So, parang pag iniisip ko nga eh, medyo same lang din naman somehow eh, na parehong mahirap makakuha ng investment. Pero sa Manila lang, mas makakapag-ano ka kasi, mas makakapag-network ka, mas makapasok ka sa access sa ano. Ayun. Funding, distribution, is this distribution ng...
I mean, if they want to have their product, get out of their province, maybe go to Manila. Meron bang challenge? Oo.
I think yes. I think madami. Although I know some na talagang nakapunta naman ng Manila. But most of them, iba-iba nga yung Cebu, Davao, iba, they just want to stay Vismin nga eh. Parang yun nga yung nangyayari eh. Iba yung Manila Luzon, iba yung Vismin. Even yung mga traditional businesses, maraming ganun eh, na Vismin lang nag-stay. Hindi talaga nag-Luzon kasi nga, iba talaga yung mundo sa Manila Luzon. So, it's not a challenge per se. Parang, it's actually better for them if they stay, logically and economically, if they stay sa Vismin. Parang sila, diba? Sila Gaisano, ganyan.
Yeah.
Although meron palang Gaisano sa Manila. Maybe yun nga, they have to find partners talaga sa Manila in order to... But anyway, I think it's logically economical for them to stay sa Vismin. And then yung sa marketing, actually, parang nakikita akong trend sa bawat region, sa bawat...
Iba-iba yung approach.
Iba talaga.
Sige.
Iba din sa mga niche eh.
Oo. So, if you can give an overview, ano yung kinaibahan ng marketing approach overall sa ibang lugar as compared sa Manila?
Siguro somehow, mas close-knit yung mga tao, yung ecosystem sa mga cities outside Manila. Sa Manila, although mas maraming tao dito, di ba? Pero mas hindi nag-uusap eh.
Totoo yan.
Kunwari, ang napansin ko for example, sa Davao, hindi sila basta-basta nagpapasok ng mga outside Davao businesses eh. Pero, mas madali ko supportahan ng mga tao tsaka ng government if you're really from Davao. So, mas madali I'm not that sure malapit ng Davao Startup Week by the way. But, I think, mas dali siguro. I'm not that sure mag-organic marketing sa mga ganong lugar.
And I think that's expected. Like for example, kung ako kasi lumaki ako sa Antipolo dahil kilala ako doon. Syempre, pag nakita nila market ka nila doon. Merong local pride.
Depende actually.
So, kumbaga, before mo nga naman kung ako rin naman yung mayor or kung sino man yung nandun or basta yung leaders on the startup ecosystem there, ipopromote ko pa ba yung Tagalabas?
True.
Dito muna, di ba? Parang, di ba, si ex-President Carlos P. Garcia nga, yung Filipino First Policy. Parang gano'n lang din yun. Pero, it's more on a localized level. Okay. But yeah, thank you so much, Johnny, for that. Itong mga insights po na to, hindi talaga natin siya makukuha kung kani-kanino lang na founder or guest unless talagang na-experience. Kaya makikita nyo, very raw, very insightful yung mga share ni Johnny. Which now brings me to another question, no? Kasi, discuss natin yung differences, discuss natin yung challenges. Now, coming from those two, I want to ask naman to you, Johnny, ano naman sa tingin mo yung mga strategies that stood out most effective in building their startups doon sa mga provinces? Pero bago mo sagatin yan, let's have a short break. Magbabalik po kami. Feeling mo ba minsan, mag-isa ka sa mundo ng accounting at finance? Ang daming spreadsheets, deadlines at tanong na wala kang mapagtanungan. Saka yung feeling na walang nakakaintindi sa pinagdadaanan mo? That's why we built the One CFO Mastermind Group or OMG. Dito sa OMG, makikilala mo yung mga kapwa mo finance pros na nakakaintindi sa mga struggles mo. Makokonsult mo for free, mag-level up sa career mo, at pwede ring maging kliyente pa. Grabe, di ba? Mapapa-OMG ka talaga. Let's connect, collaborate, and grow together. Ready ka na ba? Scan the QR code or click the link on the description below. Join the One CFO Mastermind Group now. And we're back. So, ang tanong natin kanina kay Johnny, ulitin lang natin, no? Ano naman yung mga strategies sa mga startup founders from the provinces that you find most effective in, building their startups?
Okay. Siguro I'll say a few, maybe 3 examples na nag-stand out for me. Isang startup na, actually, probably my favorite nga tayo, or top 3 favorite ko sa book.
Sige. Shout out.
I think, nanalo sila recently sa validation din, Hindi sila sikat talaga sa buong Pilipinas. I'm not sure if narinig mo na sila. Although, incubated sila ng Miriam College TBI, MCTBI sa Manila. Pero Sultan Kudarat.
Layo.
Tacorong. Actually, hindi ba Tacorong, Kisulan pa. Yung isa pang city, Actually, yun yung capital city sa Sultan Kudarat. Anyway, the name of the startup is Studentship Philippines. So, you heard ba?
Hindi ba. Google natin.
Sige. Kaya ako gusto to. Kasi medyo basic. Pero ang unique ng mga workarounds na nagawa nila.
What's their startup all about?
Basically, supplemental learning for public schools.
Oh.
Nakita mo ba kung asan doon yung magic?
For public schools. Sige, asan doon?
Ito yung malaking difference. Yung mga edtech startups sa Manila, did you notice, wala sa talaga public schools.
Totoo.
Wala mga private yan.
So, wala daw pambayad yung public.
Yun. Tama, true. Dalawang reason. Walang pambayad. Sobrang naman yun. Pero hindi, although that's true, mas only may pambayad. Tsaka, aminin na natin to, dadaan ka mo sa gobyerno. Dadaan ka sa...
I'm a product of public school system from elementary to high school. Totoo po yan.
Ayun. Kaya ako gusto sila kasi, for me, if you're gonna provide supplemental learning, tech-based learning, you don't really have to give that to the private schools na mayayaman naman na. You have to do that to the public schools.
Correct. Sila yung may need noon.
Yes. Pero yung irony, wala silang mambayad. Tsaka, medyo bureaucratic if dadaan ka pa sa government kasi mga state-run schools to, So yun, but they were able to make it work. How? Panoorin na lang yung episode namin sa startup.
Sige. Log natin.
Sige.
Ito.
I'll give a short parang explanation. Kasi, ang mga startups, diba? I'm not sure, Jay, if mag-agree ka. Mas madali ba mag-B2B kaysa B2C? Somehow?
Mas madali mag-B2B because the cost of acquisition ng B2B, although sabihin na natin baka mas mahal, pero mas targeted, mas mabilis yung ROI.
Okay. Kaya yung mga...
Finance.
Kaya yung mga startups sa Manila na mas gusto magka-access sa investors as mas syempre, it's natural to be profit-oriented, diba?
Yeah.
Mag-B2B. So, direct sa school, ang mabentahan ay yung school, yung principal, school owner. Hindi ko pwede sa public school yun kasi government nga ito mga to, diba? So, sila, but they really wanted to do that mission of helping Filipino students, public school students. So, imbes na sa school, sa parents sila. But still, they found a way to multiply their capability through the schools. Pero ang diretso sila sa mga parents, sa mga But they still found a way. So, panoorin na ng episode namin to find the full explanation. Tsaka yung business model nila is hindi nga binibentahan yung school mismo, So, maybe iba yung usapan dyan in financially profit margins kasi baka nga mas hindi ganun kaya yaman yung mga parents. Pero somehow, they find a way to still make it profitable. Even though sa parents sila nakadiretso. So, ayun. For me, this is a true startup na na-solve talaga yung true problem na dapat talagang i-solve.
Galing.
Although hindi ba ganun kalaki? Pero I think around 100 plus, or sorry, correct me if I'm wrong, mga 50 plus or 100 plus schools na yung mga nalapitan nila sa Mindanao, tsaka mga mga medyo not urban areas pa ng Mindanao. So
galing. Kasi kung isipin mo nga naman, the usual parang cookie cutter approach is you sell your product to the B2Bs, pero nobody have thought that you can actually go directly to the parents of the students. So that's really creative. I'm wondering, paano naisip ng mga founders yun?
I think medyo pitfall to ng ibang startups na very profit-oriented. Baka hindi na na-solve yung talagang problem sa dapat sa Pilipinas. Kasi, gawa ng product para sa mayayaman. Mas mayayaman. Kikita ka, diba?
Yun kasi yung, it's another podcast episode if ever, but once mapapansin natin yan lalo na sa mga VC-backed
exactly.
startups. Kasi merong grow.
Exactly.
Diba? So, syempre, isip nga naman, yung long tail approach will take time and take a lot of resources. Pero does that convert into parang steady or fast revenue na they can show to their VC backers.
Yes.
No?
Exactly.
Pero tama ka. And that's also the reason kaya, remember I told you I'm also doing angel investing before. Kasi napansin ko yun na parang not a lot of these VC-backed startups are really solving the problem. So, I want to be that one of those investors that can really empower back in the day pag-uwi ko ng Pilipinas yung again product ako ng public school system. I know I experience everything, yung mga pain points na yun, how to democratize and level the playing field for them. Maraming solution tayong naiisip. I'm sure maraming startups dyan na trying to solve those kinds of problems, but they're not getting funded. Kaya hindi natin sila nalalaman na nag-exist pala sila. Kasi the media glorifies mga funding news, yes, but not necessarily yung mga sensible na mga startups that are really solving real problems. And that's what I really like what you're doing in Startup Podcast, PH.
Actually, if I may add, that's why I said nga kanina na iba yung pag nasa Manila ka, mas may access sa investors. Actually, yung business model mo mag-iiba rin. Parang towards the paying profit-oriented talaga. Whereas kung wala ka access sa investors, fortunately, somehow, masasolve mo yung mga talagang totoong problems. That's the only way.
Okay. This is a controversial question I would like to ask you. Do you think that the startup ecosystem in the Philippines is too Manila-centric? A follow-up question to that. What changes kaya that could be made to support founders in the provinces?
Yeah, quick answer, yes. Actually, yes and no. Yes talaga. When you look at media, when you look at the news, yes na yes. Manila-centric talaga. But actually, kaya rin pala ako nag-province, outside Manila. Kasi na-discover ko, when I interviewed online lang, yung, I can say naman, di ba mga,
of course.
La Wela, for example, sa Cagayan de Oro, even sila School Tech sa Iligan, si MK Bertulfo, FH Moms.
Yeah.
Well, Manila rin naman siya, although Batangas siya. Anyway, and others pa. When I interviewed them, mas madaming views actually pag outside Manila. Mas madaming views. Kasi they already have communities. Nagulat ako, they already have communities. So, mas madaming organic, tsaka yung talagang nanonood buong video na views. So, actually, kaya ako outside Manila, kasi more views than yun for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, to answer the question, kaya nga yes and no. Yes, pag media ka nakatingin, Manila-centric talaga yan. Pero you'll realize when you go outside, ma-realize mo na ang laki ng support ng mga communities nila doon sa mga startups na yun. Baka nga mas malaki pa eh. Kasi, ayun, parang, kasi sabi nga kanina, this is their parang city pride din, their regional pride. And also, sila yung talagang nakakatulong sa mga communities doon. So, yes, in the sense na nasa Manila ang media, nasa Manila ang capital, pero no in the sense na sobrang dami nangyayari pa rin talaga outside Manila.
Yeah.
Kailangan lang natin puntahan.
Yes. And I really like what you said kasi I remember I was talking to a VC na pinupush talaga niya sa Pilipinas yung product-led growth daw, blah, 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 ganyan. And I was telling him, how can even people here learn about your product? Mahilig, mga chismoso kaming mga Pilipino. So, I still do believe that the right approach here is, okay, andyan yung product-led growth, but it's also a community-driven approach dapat. So, I won't name names of these successful companies, not startups, that are basically nag-thrive sila, naging successful because they have already built community around their product. Kasi, like for example, tayo mga Pilipino, di ba, hindi tayo basta naniniwala sa ano yung nakikita natin online, lalo na ang daming fraud, ang daming scam. Pero pag nirecommend sa'yo ng friend mo, you will say, sige, try ko nga yan. Ganyan, diba?
Actually, nga naman.
Di ba? That's our culture. And that's just to your point. And maybe there's a more need now for me, the way I see it, really to put the spotlight on those startups that are in the provinces because of those communities that they've already built. Meron na sila nun to your point nga, it's a validation na in-interview mo sila, ang daming mong views because ang daming naniniwala sa kanila. All we have to do is to support these startup founders, these entrepreneurs outside of the... Huwag tayo kung mga nasa Manila, huwag tayo magmagaling. No? Na alam natin, parang copy-paste approach, this will work on that. No, hindi po ganun. And I'm saying this as somebody na I've been helping a lot of shout-out sa mga startups and companies ko dyan sa Cebu. No? It's a different approach talaga. Different way of thinking, different culture in a way, no? So we really need to be considerate of that. So hindi na problema eh. I'm speaking from a point of view now of a founder and even a CFO who's been doing fundraising. Hindi na iintindihan yun ng mga tagalabas na investors. So, and that's what as I told you, nakita tayo sa UP Town. That's what I want to achieve, to be a bridge also. And that's also the reason why we now have this Kwentuhan podcast, no? Ginagaya ka namin eh. So yun. Anyway, sige Johnny. So, having interviewed all of these founders, meron ka bang isang founder story na talagang, from your podcast, na talagang nag-stuck sa'yo? Can you share?
Founder.
You can also give a shout out sa nila if ever. From this interview.
Well, yung kanina, yung sa studentship, si Ton, although, kasi actually, kaya rin ako na sa founder story na mismo kasi, and I think this will resonate sa maraming taga-outside Manila. Ang kwento niya, siya yung tipo ng tao, kaya din nagawa siya ng education startup kasi siya yung tipo ng tao, ng bata, actually, na from the province, imagine Isulan, malayo yung airport dun. And then medyo pa yun, malapit sa Wartorn, somehow area yun, sa Bangsa. Dun yung Maguindanao, Mga malapit na yun eh. At nakakanood siya ng TV. Nakakanood siya ng mga Milo, yung mga TV, ganyan. So, nakikita niya, bakit parang dito walang ganyan? So, nakaka-apoy ng puso eh, na parang ang daming Filipino, even mga aspiring founders na ganun. Nasa province, pero medyo kulang ang access sa capital nga, sa trabaho even. Pero nakikita na yung opportunity eh. So, nag-aapo yung mga damdamin nila. So, kaya din ako, parang natuwa talaga dun. Kasi, example yun ng maraming Pilipino na, kumbaga, medyo cheesy, pero nangahalap, at gusto mag-give back. At, ayun, somehow, na-achieve yung ganun. And, pag iniisip ko nga, actually, ang dami pa rin sa Pilipinas na ganun, mga aspiring founders na talagang nag-aapoy. Maalam sila, pero kulang sa access sa network, sa business, ganyan. Well, sa mga natin kulang sa access sa capital, ganyan. Nahihirapan sila, pero nag-aapoy yung mga...
They have this, very strong why. Why they want to build that solution, that startup or business. All they need is a fuel to... or maybe the resources to really get their startup lift off the ground and prosper and scale. No? Okay.
If I may add pa pala, kasi marami nagsasabi na wala daw mga student startups na nagiging successful.
Walang mga student startups.
Pero actually marami. Siguro isang pang i-shoutout din if you know, sila Coach Cham sa Cebu. Have you heard of them? Ayan. Yeah. Yun, student thesis, tama ba? Student project siya. And now, na siya, parang incorporated na, tapos marami silang school clients. So, actually, marami silang dismiss sa mga student startups dahil hindi, students lang yan, ganyan. Pero, actually, ang students, nag-aapoy ang mga yan.
Yeah.
Very strong, very,
Yes, and imagine, Mark Zuckerberg started Facebook as a student, as a sophomore student back in Harvard. So, ako, kaya rin minsan nagpapakabagets ako just to learn and understand yung what's going on sa younger generation. Kasi, totoo naman, nasa 30s pa naman. In a few days time, mag-change na. But yeah, the business principles and basically the management lessons does not really change, no? But the way business is being done, and also because of these evolving business models, and as to your point, innovations, dapat magkasama yun eh. So that's why, dapat, to your point, tingnan din natin yung mga student startups. Siyempre, marami dyan hilaw pa.
Yes,
but with the guidance of, seasoned founders or other ecosystem enablers, hihinog din yan. I do believe na tayong mga Pilipino, lalo na, we have that grit talaga. So, it's common to us. All we just need to, for me lang personal ko to, is to really believe in our own kababayan.
Yes.
Kasi nakakalungkot kasi na mas nabibigyan pa, napopondohan pa, mas bibigyan ng attention yung mga tagalabas instead ng sarili natin.
Naku, Jay, ano ba to? Pero
another episode.
Yeah.
Okay, sige. Nandito na tayo sa exciting part ng ating Kwentuhan podcast, the Let's Get Real question. So, Johnny, sa lahat ng mga stories na na-heard mo or na-interview mo ng mga startup founders, what's the most unconventional or untextbook solution na ang isang provincial startup founder has used to overcome a major challenge? Something that completely surprised you.
Unconventional? Kasi honestly, hindi naman talaga sila unconventional. Yun na nga yung nangyayari. Parang porket hindi Manila, tingin natin unconventional. For me, actually what they're doing is actually more grounded and more practical. So I can actually say almost all of them, and not naman all of them, kasi marami pa rin failures. Marami pa rin failures, of course. Pero they're actually doing for me, the more conventional way na isa-sell talaga sa customer, sa potential customer.
Maybe yun na yun, yung sinabi mo na instead of going directly sa government, sa teachers, sa schools, yung example nung kanina, yung dumiretso sila sa parents. No? For me, that's unconventional, honestly.
Siguro may isa pa example, yung sa Davao, merong Ride It.
Ride It, yeah.
Sila yung, bagong medyo bago lang sila. Pero nung nagpunta sa Davao, nagulat ako kasi gusto ko, pagpunta ko dun, mamotor, mag-aangkas. Pero walang angkas, walang joyride, wala rin ata movie. Kasi wala. Tapos even, may grab naman ata. Pero walang mga motor, Tapos, na-dismaya ako. So, naglakad lang ako papunta hotel.
Galing from airport?
Hindi, from
okay.
I'm malayo airport. Anyways, merong bagong startup. And then, nung nag-interview na ako, lumapit ako sa incubator dun sa Upgrade, Inolab dun. Then, isa sa mabigay nila sa akin is itong si Ride It. Nagulat ako, siya pala yung solusyon sa problema ko. Kasi they just built an app na makakuha ka ng motor. Parang risky pa ng angkas din, pero sa Davao. Kasi yun nga, sa Davao, hindi basta-basta nagpapasok ng mga businesses, hindi Huwenyo or hindi Davao, So, maybe yun yung, they made it work. Well, first of all, kasi may support, madali mo support. Pero actually, another thing, they want to sell that, bukod sa angkas lang siya, angkas siya, pero pagkabukas mo ng app, pakikita mo na yung mga tourist spots.
May parang ads?
Hindi. Ay, baka ads. Baka yung model na lang. Di ako sure. Pero, parang rin siya, directory din siya. Pagkabukas mo, pwede mong kang bumili. Restaurants, coffee shops, museums.
So, hindi lang siya ride-hailing?
Hindi lang siya hindi ride-hailing. Which is actually good for me, diba? Napagpunta akong Davao, gusto ko rin mag-gala-gala.
Actually, as a tourist, andun na lahat.
So yun, natap din nila yung, kung ba nakapag-explore sila ng other market. Kasi kung ride-hailing ka lang, most likely, mga lang yan, Davaoenyo, tsaka mga alam na yun kung saan pupunta. Yung mga di pa alam kung saan pupunta.
Yes.
So, nila yun.
Maganda yung kasi that also increases the user session in their platform. And another way to increase their lifetime value because after mong sumakay sa isang motor, ano na yung next, di ba? So, the average revenue per user nila ngayon medyo tumata. Sorry, alam mo siya pagka-CFO ko.
may isa pa naisip na, although hindi siya, unconventional talaga, pero parang trend lang na napansin ko nga. Sa sultan ko dalat pa, aside from kay studentship nga, napansin ko trend dun ng mga startups dun, mga companies na nagsisimula doon. Sila, provider ng tech sa government or sa mga large, kasi, to be honest, di pa naman ganun kalakas ang private economy. Kumbaga yung mga private business owners sa, sa mga parts na yun. Malakas pa yung government, Di ba? Pag private, malakas ang government talaga. Usong-usong land bank, kanyan, kasi malakas yung government. So, sila, instead of providing for business owners, they provide for the government. Kasi yun nga naman talaga yung malakas dun. So, sila yung nag-provide ng tech infrastructure, ng even mga CCTV. Lalo na sa area na yun, I think minandate na or parang nasa law na dapat lahat ng establishments may CCTV. Di mo ba ng CCTV? Kung mag-provide ng CCTV, Hindi, ayun. So, parang, yun, may ways May ways on how to, may ways. Kailangan mo talagang isipin at
So, Johnny, I guess this will be the last question that I will be throwing na sa'yo, no? So, given that, there's so many things going on sa startup industry, startup ecosystem, and you being in the front row of all of these startups and interviewing actually these founders, no? Ano sa tingin mo yung trend that you believe will define the future of entrepreneurship here in the Philippines?
Trend?
Oo. Or trend or outlook mo, ano sa tingin mo yung...
Okay. Pinisa pa isang startup na pinakagusto ko rin pala na very innovative and I think ito yung answer. Sa Zamboanga, Zamboanga, isa pa yung recent lang yung Zamboanga siege Tsaka recent naman, I think medyo nasa utak pa ng mga tao na pag Zamboanga may mga holdapan, may mga innovative kasi napaghalo nila yung school and safety. So I think kaya isa sa Pilipinas to They have smart school bus, mga smart school bus. So basically school bus na magkakasundo ng mga bata. Kasi may mga private schools sa Zamboanga like Ateneo doon. So they provide security. Kasi school bus to na may mga CCTV, talagang secure. Tapos with the help of school buses, nasa-solve din yung traffic. Problema sa Zamboanga ngayon, sobrang traffic sa Zamboanga City. As in, pag school bus, alam naman natin na pag bus, less road size, less road occupancy sa car, diba, ng vehicle. So, ayan, na-solve nila yung security, safety, traffic, transpo, tsaka education. Kasi, mas madadala sa mga schools kagad yung mga bata. So, I think yun yung sagot ko na parang trend. First is solve problems from the ground. Ano ba talaga yung problema ng mga tao? And hindi lang isa. Kung better, ipagsabay-sabay mo na. Hanap ka ng innovation na magkasabay-sabay. Kasi parang that's the definition of innovation Parang nakakasolve ka ng more than one problem in one go. Win-win, kumbaga win-win. And then solve multiple problems na rin on the way. And then third is find a business model na not necessarily naman siguro parang profit-oriented. Pero for me, as long as it's a real problem, then maraming natatackle, may opportunity, diba? Kasi yun yung talaga kailangan ng mga tao
Yeah.
I think, medyo basic yung sagot ko, no? Pero I
think that's very important, yung mga basic minsan na nakakaligtaan natin. Which is to your point, yes, I do believe that the Philippine problems kasi, mga pain points are also very basic. That a lot of innovations, nakita natin there's so many innovations right now, but the very basic hindi pa rin solusyonan To your point, yun, in Zamboanga, safety, no? I think this is a basic not just in Zamboanga, across all the Philippines. Tingnan nyo, nasa na po tayo sa listahan na watch list na ini-issue ng, sino ba nag-i-issue nun? Ng mga bansa like US or ganyan, di ba? Parang nakakaano naman sa atin yun na parang bilang Filipino, hindi daw safe dito sa atin.
Yung safe ako, nagta-travel lang ako, naglalakad lang ako, nagkakamit lang ako, safe.
Diba? So, that is a basic but unsolved na need, di ba? So, thank you so much, Johnny. And marami akong natutunan, honestly. I feel like Johnny also took me with him when he toured around the entire Philippines, interviewing a lot of these startups and startup founders. And, wow, thank you so much, Johnny, for openly sharing your insights and experiences in covering these numerous startups all over the country. Binigyan mo kami ng first-hand look. Naramdaman ko yon kanina ditong mga nakakaraang isang oras natin, no? Yeah, so I like the idea and I like what you're doing, and I hope you continue doing that in showcasing yung mga startups that are not parang under the radar or wala sa spotlight, but they deserve to be heard. They deserve to be seen because they're really solving real problems, no? So mga kakwentuhan, sana po may natutunan po kayo. We hope this conversation has given you a fresh perspective on what it takes to thrive in the Philippine startup scene, no? Particularly outside Metro Manila. If you want to expand outside Metro Manila, or if you're from outside Metro Manila, you want to go here in Metro Manila, so hopefully we're able to give you that kind of perspective. And wag po natin kalimutan i-share yung episode na to at mag-subscribe. Subscribe na rin kayo, of course, dito sa Startup Podcast PH, no? Kay Johnny, marami po kayong makikitang mga mapapanood ng mga startups doon na sinishare din ni Johnny. Please like and follow us po dito sa Facebook and also sa YouTube and also sa LinkedIn, 1CFO. And hanggang sa susunod na mga kakwentuhan, peace!